Plaintiff Tracy Anderson says the defendant's 10-year-old son is known as the neighborhood troublemaker. Tracy claims the defendant's son broke into her boat and damaged the engine by running it for over an hour, so she's suing. Defendant Thomas Knudsen says his son suffers from Asperger's, which is a high-functioning form of autism, and he's a challenge because he's extremely curious. Although Thomas admits that his son went onto Tracy's boat, he feels Tracy was partially negligent because she left her keys in the engine.
Tell me what happened.
Their 10-year-old son, Knudsen, damaged our boat. We reside in a community on Lake Minnetonka where there's some private dockage. Their son has a history in the neighborhood of being quite a troublemaker. On several occasions, he was caught outside his second-story window, flashing cars as they drove by, apparently trying to climb onto a roof. At another occasion, he was found. Our neighbors came home to find him swimming in their swimming pool unsupervised. There was nobody home. Just several stories like that we've heard about Chance in the neighborhood since they've lived there. They rent a home in the area that we own our home.
Anything happened similar to what you're alleging occurred?
Oh, he's been down on the docks at several different occasions, playing on the boats where other neighbors have told him to get out of the area. It's a locked gate; they have no access back there. He climbs around the gate to get into the gate because they don't have access. So he played there before, yes,
without permission,
yes,
and was run off by the neighbors.
Correct.
Okay. All right, sir.
First of all, my son Chance is 10 years old. He has Asperger's, which is a high-functioning autism. Mm-hmm. Examples of Asperger's would be Einstein and Edison. These people are very curious, very inventive type mm-hmm. of people. So he is a challenge. We have a special program, and he's in a special school.
Okay.
We live in Jennings Cove. Jennings Cove has 8 dock slips.
You rent a house in Jennings Cove.
So what, ma'am? Okay. Go ahead.
We live in Jennings Cove. There's 18 homes that do have dock slips as deeded access. I have brought material that shows where our dock slip is, so that my son is allowed on that dock.
And your son is you're always with your son when he goes? My
son is usually supervised. This particular day, he was about 5 minutes ahead of me.
Okay. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
On the day of May 30th, I received a phone call from a neighbor stating that our boat had been vandalized and to call her immediately. Apparently, Chance had gotten down through the lock gate again on this incident. He was rummaging through several boats. He got to our boat. He had emptied out our stowage compartments, emptied out the tackle boxes where we keep our emergency set of keys. Apparently, he had started the boat. Our boat sits on a lift, so the motor is mostly out of the water. Apparently, put the keys in, started the boat. Pam, I have the statement from the witness. She heard the engine revving on and off for over an hour. She, when the revving continued, she went down to the dock area, or she looked down to the dock area. She saw water flying up in the air 20 to 30 feet and smoke coming from the dock area. She thought one of the boats was on fire, so immediately went running down to the boat. When she went down to the boat, she saw Chance and a friend who was much younger that apparently it turns out the Knudsens were supposed to be babysitting. Saw them revving the engine. He was throwing it into gear to reverse, to forward, to reverse at very high speeds, so that when they were laughing as the water and smoke was shooting out the back of the boat. She went running down the dock area, which is about 200 feet from her house, screaming at the boys. They hid in the stowage compartments. When she got the boys out of the stowage compartments, they had matches in their hand and keys in the other hand. She had asked them what they were doing with the matches, and he said they were looking for the gas tank.
So you have an estimate of the damage?
Yes, we do.
Sir, do you deny this? Or if you agree, why don't you think you're liable? Tell me what your understanding is.
There's a couple circumstances, Your Honor, if I may.
Well, you can tell me first, and then you may.
I do not disagree that Chance was down on the docks. I do not disagree that this occurred. However, who leaves their keys in a vehicle? I mean, if you were in a lawn tractor, would you leave your keys in your lawn tractor?
I'm not being sued.
But I've had boats before, and we were way up north. We never left our keys anywhere.
Tom.
They're in the boat.
There's
Let me ask you,
emergency
do you
set
think
in
it
the
would have
boat.
happened if your son didn't go down there? Let's stop right there. If your son never went down there into the boat, would it have ever happened?
No, sir.
Thank you. So that all these keys and all this doesn't make a difference because the negligence occurred when your son went and got on their boat without permission. And you, by your own admission, have knowledge that he has some challenges that would allow a situation like this to occur. Typically, I do not grant judgments against the parent unless the plaintiff can prove that the parent was negligent in supervising the child. Based on the history, you know that you have to keep a tight rein because your child has done things in the past. If your child has a challenge that might lead to some destructive behavior, you know that. Then if you know all those things and you fail at some point to guard against it properly, which I am going to conclude occurred in this instance, then you're liable. As you say, he was 5 minutes ahead of you. Therefore, you were not supervising him. Judgment for the plaintiff, $1,631. I'm concluding that the defendant was negligent in supervising his son. Have a good day.